Tripp, we are so glad to have you here today. I am Brenda Thompson. I am the host for Just Show Up. And today with us, we had Tripp Jones, who is with us. You've been in real estate for a while, and we're excited to hear about your journey and about some of the things that you've encountered and maybe even overcome over the years. So,
Okay.
Tripp Jones, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, tell me a little bit about your journey in real estate, because for many of this is not our first career. Was real estate your first career?
No, I was in
Okay.
retail sales and management for a long time.
Oh gosh, but that's a good transition over because you learned how to deal with people. So that's a great transition. Good.
Mhm.
So what brought you into real estate?
So, to be honest, I got fired from the last retail job I had, which was, how you look at everything and it's like a lemons to lemonade story. So we had a disagreement over something. I was in management and the way things were running, I was in a terrible job that I hated. And I took that, what is it, the money that you get, severance package, and it paid for my first 2 weeks of real estate school. So
Well, thank you, right? So you're like, thank you for helping me make that transition.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and I think what I heard in there that you didn't put the word to, but it sounds like there was something about integrity that you felt like things could be done better. And now you were here to do it better.
Well, and also too, like I learned very early on that I didn't like working for someone because maybe we had a difference of opinion. And when I manage people, and I think you probably maybe have done this in the past too, you know how like you can always do it better than someone else. So I thought, well, why do I need to manage other people? I can do this better than myself. So the path to being self-employed was clearly laid out after I discovered that about myself.
So, real estate, you decided to wisely use a severance package and get your real estate license. How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, that was 1999.
Wow.
So at the time I was living in Los Angeles and one of my parents' neighbors was a real estate agent. I mean, she wore cute clothes and drove a nice car cuz so I'm thinking, well, I can do this.
It's the perception of all of us, right?
You just ride around the neighborhood and point out what house you want to put an offer on and it's easy after that.
If only.
If only. Yeah, so
Well, good. So you were in LA, and did
mhm.
you actually start practicing there in California, or did
I
you
did.
move? Okay.
No. I started there. I went to work for the old Century 21 office, and my very first transaction opened the door for me to meet a broker who hired me on immediately before I even closed this deal to work as a buyer's agent. Now, most people think I just schlepped, buyers around all day, but because this woman owned 15 rental houses, she owned a 150-door apartment building. She bought homes at auction. She had land, built spec houses before any of this was ever done. So my first full-time job in real estate was working with somebody who was very multi-dimensional in real estate. And I credit her to this day for giving me the opportunity to go look beyond, you thinking out of the box, I guess you'd say is the correct answer. There's always a solution to everything. You just have to think outside the box.
And that's a lot of ponds if we think of real estate, the different ponds, because you were dipping your toe into several things that could be an entire vertical. What if then or any other time did you kind of find along your journey any issues that you had to deal with or things that you had to overcome?
Well, the good thing about working for this individual is that she would never give me the answer, but she'd give me the tools for me to discover the answer on my own. So every year, every step, every transaction I had, I built more and more and more confidence in myself than I would have if I would just been doing this all alone. So,
It's great. So, of course, we're in Texas now.
mhm.
Can you talk about your journey that kind of
Oh
got you from
gosh.
there to here?
So, right after the end of the pandemic, my sister in law was given an opportunity to open up an expansion of her Southern California company here in Dallas. Initially, she said, I wouldn't live in Texas if you paid me all the money in the world. And they're like, we think we could convince you. So, she came out, decided that it was a good move for she and my brother and the kids. My mother had been living with me at the time after the pandemic and my father's passing. And we kept coming out and visiting. And every time I came come out and visiting, I kept seeing more building, more cranes. I had been to Dallas about 10 years prior at a real estate convention. And I remember the last thing I said when I stepped off the tarmac getting on the plane is I could live here. Of course, my experience had been the Park Cities and that area, so not any of the neighborhoods or any of the suburbs of anything. But ironically, the day that I said that was 10 years to the day that I moved into the house that I'm living in now. So exactly 10 years have passed.
That's awesome. And yet you just followed not maybe even your dream initially, but followed a dream and made it happen.
When I first moved here, in Southern California, you have to be licensed to sell new homes. So my idea was is to go work in a new home community, and after I closed that out, develop clientele within that community that may need to sell or relocate or whatever like that. After I got here, I soon found out that that was not the case. So about 90 days into my living in Texas, I said, well, I've got to go ahead and get my real estate license because my education was not reciprocal with the state of Texas. So I had to completely start over from scratch. Harder because there's certain ways and nuances that we do in California that doesn't transpire to Texas here. And you guys have different terminology for things. Like I called an attorney friend of mine one time and I said, what does promulgated mean? I don't understand this word.
And as a broker, I use that word every day, but I do still laugh that no one before real estate, and you're saying no one before real estate in Texas knew that word either. It's a word in the dictionary that we skimmed over and now we use it all the time. So I hear that you have had a fun experience somewhere along the way too. And I don't know how much you can tell about that or the specific show or show name, but have you done something fun along the way?
Well, I had some clients one time that reached out to me that asked me to join them on House Hunters. And so this was so many, many, many years ago and everything. So when we were setting up for this, it kind of reminded me of that experience. When we filmed in one of the houses, we kept getting feedback from the air conditioning compressor. So it was one of those typical really hot Los Angeles days. So we couldn't run the air. I'm sweating
Oh
bullets,
gosh.
and just the stories. And ours was filmed in segments versus a long weekend because we were so close to the production company that they would pick up when they were between segments and they would film one. So I ended up being the Ray-Ban guy. So in the first scene, I'm wearing one style of Ray-Bans, and then the second scene, I'm wearing the second kind, and then by the third scene, I've like got a totally different pair because I'd lost the other two pairs. So it totally doesn't make sense. But anyway, but it was a fun experience, and I did find out that I did not want to be involved in the entertainment business. There's no, sitting around on a set and waiting for things. It's just not my thing.
It's probably not quite as glamorous as it looks. And you forget that it's hours and hours and hours that they cut down for that 30-minute or 1 hour episode. And even that's not 30 minutes or 1 hour because there's commercial breaks in that too.
Absolutely.
So, what are you up to these days, or what are you looking forward to next in your real estate career?
Well, constantly building my sphere of influence, but I've recently discovered that I think I would have a greater impact in meeting more people by filming and getting on social media. We all have such a fear of being on camera. And we all have to like push that down and push that down. And like yourself, starting this podcast and everything. I mean, it's not everybody that can do this. And so I've started doing this. And most recently, I had a not pleasurable experience with something that happened during a home inspection. And I posted that just a few days ago. I've already gotten close to 1,000 views and a lot of positive feedback on my perception of the story. So I want to keep doing that because I think it's kind of a new way to tap into more people. And I think it's more productive. And I don't know, this may be a little bit out there, but I think it's more productive than sitting 2 hours in an open house and maybe one or two people come in. And oh, by the way, I got a realtor who sent me over here to look at the house. So I want to reach more people and spread my story and have people know me better. And maybe that's through social media, maybe that's through video, but that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now.
And it's funny you say that too, because this show is Just Show Up. And it's a little bit different for each individual. And sometimes it's trying to learn and discover new things. Technology, of course, affords us new opportunities all the time, but it's finding what works for us. And you took something just in the last few days or few weeks and were able to turn it into something that you showed up for and that you put into action, and people are interested.
Right.
So, what do you know now, or what have you learned over the years, especially now having been licensed in two different states? What do you wish that you knew way back at the very beginning?
I wish I knew that every time that I went up another agent, that they weren't smarter than me, that they knew more than me. I was very intimidated as a new agent, so I would go up against somebody who was like a local expert in such and such a field or something like that. The confidence that you build every time you do another transaction and everything, but also like I go to classes, I read, all the news breaks that come out online and everything. So I want to know what's going on and I want to pass that on to my clients that I'm working with. I want to be fully knowledgeable of everything that I do.
So you're a resource for everything real
Absolutely.
estate. And it does take a commitment to do that. So I try to do that myself, and I know the time that it takes to do that. So kudos to you for staying engaged like that, because it really does. It takes a commitment of time and of energy. But then when you meet someone on the street, when we're asked the questions about some headline that someone has seen in the news about real estate, or just the most common question we get anyway, how's the market? Then you have good content to answer
Mhm.
with. So I like
Yeah.
that a whole lot. Is there anything that has surprised you along the way?
That no matter how everything changes, it goes back to being the same. People have a need for housing. I almost stepped into new home sales earlier on when I was in California years ago, and I pulled out of it. And I finally decided there's always going to be people that are dying. There's always going to be people that are relocating. There are always people that are going to be expanding their family. Unfortunately, divorce happens. So everybody is going to need a real estate agent. And no matter what market we're in, there's always buyers, there's always sellers, and there's always a need to do this.
The market is always good for someone, right?
Mhm,
Sometimes it's better for buyers, sometimes it's better for sellers, sometimes it's great for investors, but the market is always good for someone. It's just
mhm.
discovering who that is and helping them get there. Is there anything that you feel like we have not covered yet that you would love to? Any advice that you would have for others?
Was on the phone with a gal who sat next to me in real estate class just a few days ago, and she was starting out and telling me like what she should do. So she thought she would solicit people whose houses were already listed so she could be a buyer's agent. I'm like, oh
Oh,
heavens,
oops,
no,
no, no.
don't do that.
Okay, you saved her.
Yeah, I saved a lot of people, I think. But I told her that, like, as a new agent, that what she would probably do is she wants to focus on a neighborhood that she's living in and knows all about it and do open houses and meet the neighbors, because you probably are the same way as when I do an open house. I don't want to meet the people that are just coming in looking at the house. I want to meet the neighbors, because those are the potential people that you want to work with in the past, in the future. So that's what I'm always kind of looking forward to do. I'm looking down the road to see who needs me, who can I help, and what knowledge can I bring.
Is there a tool that you would say over the years has become your favorite, like the one thing I have to do, or the one tool I have to use that I couldn't live without beyond MLS?
It's got to be a cell phone. I mean, so I don't think I had a cell phone when I first started. I think it's that long ago.
I was just gonna say, and we're a few years apart in licensing. And iPhones did not exist, and I'm all Android. But the phone that we currently use today did not exist until 2007. So years after both of us.
First buyer, I went in the MLS to look to how to get to this house. It was a rural property, and it's like go a quarter mile down the dirt road and hang a right at the wagon wheel, and I was like, this is nuts. So, but the phone has been a tool, and think about it. I mean, like, we don't need a video camera anymore. We don't need a digital camera anymore. I used to do broker price opinions for banks back in the day, where when we were listing them before they were when they were foreclosures. So I'd have to have a digital camera. I don't have to have any of that right now. I just have just one phone. I can look at the MLS. I can look at social media. I can record social media, directions to get to a property. So it's the biggest tool you can have. And every year I want to make sure I have the biggest and best and most up-to-date phone that I can have. So that's been my biggest tool, I think, so far.
That's a very intelligent answer, because then we start thinking about all the apps that we now have on our phone. That we used to carry our key card to open
Hmm.
doors was a separate device. Now it's embedded as an app on our phones. All the different other things we had to carry around. You were talking about the directions, and I recall Maps goes. that we
Uh-huh.
used to also carry around,
Uh-huh.
or some kind of a map.
Uh-huh.
And now everything is on our phone. You're right. You're right. Well, I have enjoyed talking with you today. This has been a lot of fun. I love hearing about the way you build rapport with people and really become the go-to person for them, whether it's a real estate agent or a future client, to be able to be the trusted resource. And it really comes from just your conversation with them. And I love that. You're an excellent representation of our industry. It's been a lot of fun talking with you.
Thank you.
So any last words you want to give our audience before we go?
Just, with anything, if you keep showing up, eventually you'll get it. So you just got to keep participating and showing up. It's just like when I tell my mother about some problem she has on her phone, I'm like, Mom, if you use it more, you'll understand it better. So every time that there's a new technology or new tool or anything that comes out, if you just keep showing up, eventually you'll get it. You'll get the hang of it.
100% agree. Yes. Well, Tripp, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on Just Show Up. And I hope that we talk again real soon. This episode has been sponsored by Home Smart Stars. Agents, do you feel unseen, unheard? Maybe wish you had better commission. Maybe wish that you were welcomed and encouraged to show up, to just show up as you are and be your true, authentic self, and have all the training and support and tools to help you thrive in your real estate career. If so, then you need to reach out to Home Smart Stars and make Home Smart Stars your home for real estate.